Hello, and welcome to this new video. Today, we are going to look at the use of the latrine emptying kit at MSF. This kit is designed to allow the emptying of a latrine or septic tank. It allows you to pump out black water, latrine residues, and solids up to 50 mm in size. In this video, we will look at this kit equipped with a Honda 4-stroke engine of 160 centimeters cubed and a Libellula pump with a maximum flow rate of 150 litres per minute and a total head of 15 metres. This pump is designed to transfer liquid or sludge containing suspended solids, so it is perfectly adapted to treat latrine pit residues. Although heavy, this pump remains mobile thanks to its integration in a rolling structure. It therefore allows access to the emptying site as close as possible. The kit contains all the accessories to ensure its installation and operation. It is composed of a Libellula pump with a user guide, a protection equipment module, a 20-litre gasoline jerry can, 3-inch green spiral hose Heliflex type, 50 meters of 3-inch green flat hose for discharge, a diving rod composed of a handlebar, pipes, elbow, and 3-inch PVC cam fittings, a spare membrane for the pump, a can of 10W30 4-stroke engine oil, a can of transmission oil, viscosity ISO 150, a funnel, spare parts for standard maintenance, a cotton rag module, a follow-up and maintenance booklet, 2 sets of rain pants and coats. The kit costs about €5,000 at MSF log, weighs 202 kilos for a volume of 1.13 cubic meters. The use of this kind of pump implies an important step that should not be missed. Otherwise, the pump will be heavily damaged. Membrane pumps work in a unique way. In contrast to a conventional motor pump, the rotary motor of the motor is not transmitted directly to the pump. This rotary motion is converted into a vertical reciprocating motion through a reducer. It is absolutely necessary that the reducer is lubricated with the supplied transmission oil with a viscosity of 150. Remember to check the level of the gearbox before each use. As you can see, it is quite simple. The oil must reach the first notch located on the stem of the filling plug. The use of the Libellula pump requires a complete protection equipment, as the liquid effluents are carrying pathogens. The equipment is mandatory and includes a pair of overalls, rubber boots, a PVC apron, a FFP2 mask, a hearing protection helmet, a protective visor, and nitrite gloves. The next step in installing a pit emptying pump is to identify the site to be emptied and the depth of the pit. It must be easily accessible. Although this pump is wheeled, it is heavy. Consider selecting a site where it will be easy to maneuver. The Libellula pump must be protected from bad weather, flooding, and dust. The site must then be prepared so that the pump can be installed as close as possible to the pit to be emptied. This is to reduce the suction lift, which on this type of diaphragm pump can never exceed 5 meters. Make sure to install your pump as flat as possible, like this. Caution: petrol emptying pumps must be handled outdoors to avoid the accumulation of toxic exhaust gases. This handling is usually done in teams of 2. The next step is to assemble the dipping tube. The angled part of the pipe is the one that has to be introduced into the pit, thus facilitating the introduction of the pipe into the excretia. Knowing the depth of the pit to be emptied will determine how many intermediate pipes it will be necessary to install for the dipping tube. It is preferable that the assembly is 80 centimeters longer than the depth of the pit to facilitate the use of the dipping tube. The upper part of the dipping tube should be mounted on the middle part of the diving tube, the straight pipe. The different parts of the diving tube are assembled with 3-inch cam fittings. Put the two fittings together and close the fitting by locking the cams down. You can install the handlebar on the upper part of the rod by tightening the collars around the PVC pipe. This handlebar will allow you an easier handling. Now install the 8-meter suction HeliFlex pipe supplied with the kit. Position the hose towards the suction part of the pump. Take this opportunity to check the presence of seals on the ball couplings. Install the suction hose fitting by tightening it by hand. Then install the fitting in the same way to the dipping tube while checking for the presence of the seal. If possible, use only one suction hose as this reduces the risk of air leaks, which reduce the suction head due to frictional losses. Now, you must connect the discharge hose to the pump by tightening the ball coupling by hand. Check the ball couplings for seals before assembly. The discharge hose is 50 meters long. Remember to unroll it completely and make sure it is free of kinks. If the distance to the drain tank is shorter, do not shorten it. It is easier to spread it out than to have to extend it in the future. Check the oil level before starting the pump. Caution: this operation must be carried out with the engine cold and stopped. Remove the filler grey dipstick and wipe the stem with a clean cloth. Insert the stem into the filler neck but without screwing on the cap. Then, check the fuel level. For safety reasons, it is recommended to wait until the engine is cold. Unscrew the cap and visually check the level in the tank. If you have any doubts about the quality of the fuel, you can use a funnel with a separator filter. The central part of the funnel is used to retain water and impurities. After checking the fuel level, make sure the fuel cap is properly and securely closed. It is of course strictly forbidden to smoke or approach a flame during these operations for obvious safety reasons. If you need to refuel, do not forget to record the amount of fuel you have added and the date on the follow-up sheet. Finally, check the air filter. To do this, you will need to remove the wing nut, washer, and air filter cover. Remove the second wing nut and then remove the air filter. Check the filter for clogging, especially if you are in a dusty area. Caution: never run the pump without the air filter. This will accelerate wear on the motor. Do not forget to record all operations and the corresponding date on the follow-up sheet. After all these steps, it is finally time to start your Libellula pump. Move the fuel valve lever to the on position. Then move the choke lever to the closed position. It is recommended that the choke not be applied if the engine is hot or if the ambient temperature is high. Now turn the engine ignition switch to on, like this. Then move the throttle lever slightly to the left. Gently pull the launch handle until you feel resistance. Then pull it back with a sharp pull. Be careful. Do not let the starter handle snap back against the engine, as this could damage the starter. Do not forget to note the starting time and the stopping time of the motor pump on the monitoring sheet, and to count the number of hours of operation. Then check if the pumping starts. You can see this by looking at the end of the discharge pipe. Since membrane pumps do not require manual priming, if the pumping does not start, It may be due to an air intake on a suction pipe or a non-return valve blocked by a solid at the inlet or outlet of the pump body. Pay attention to the condition of your hoses by looking for leaks. This will prevent excessive pressure loss. Take care to handle the plunger rod correctly to avoid dropping it. Make sure that the maximum height between the pump and the bevel of the dip tube does not exceed 5 meters. Before concluding, one essential point must be addressed. As you may have noticed in the video, the pipes of the Libellula kit are of a different color than those of the kits used for drinking water. Green or yellow for the sanitation pipes, and blue or white for water supply. Caution: white pipes can have a color close to yellow with wear. This difference is voluntary. In fact, any material having been used for the pumping of liquid and solid effluent cannot, in any case, be reused for drinking water. Even after cleaning and disinfection, the risk of contamination is too great. Store them separately and make sure that the color code is known to all. Be careful with the operating and maintenance instructions to avoid breakdowns. They are different from the motor water pump. In fact, on a new pump, it will be necessary to replace the oil of the reducer with the oil provided after the first 50 hours. It is also extremely important that any action involving the emptying of a latrine be accompanied by a means of transport, a specific truck, and a protected emptying site capable of containing and isolating the sludge from the environment. This sludge is a vector of contamination. Thank you for your attention, and see you soon for new videos.